Hello and welcome to Algorithm Integrity Matters. Insights for financial services leaders who want to enhance fairness and accuracy in their use of data, algorithms, and AI. I'm your host, Yusuf Mullah. This article was published in October 2024, and it's titled Fairness Reviews, Identifying Essential Attributes. In a few discussions and working out exactly what to do for clients, this is something that's come up. We want to do a fairness review. What exactly are we going to be looking for? Because there's various definitions, etc. And so we've come up with an approach, and this article explains what that approach is. So here we go. In a previous article, we discussed fairness in algorithmic systems, equity, and equality. When we're checking for fairness in our algorithmic systems, which include processes, models, and rules, we often ask the question, what are the personal characteristics or attributes that, if used, could lead to discrimination? This article provides a basic framework for identifying and categorizing those attributes. Anti-discrimination laws exist in most jurisdictions, so that's a good place to start. If none apply to your country, so for example, South Korea, Japan, at some point anyway, they had no anti-discrimination laws, you could use existing human rights laws or perhaps one of the international covenants or conventions. Let's talk about the legal landscape. There's no shortage of definitions when it comes to discrimination. For example, in Australia, there are at least 5 relevant federal laws. Each state and territory has its own set of rules, legislation, and the definitions vary, but there's some overlap. One example of a definition is detailed in the 2014 guide produced by the Australian Human Rights Commission, A Quick Guide to Australian Discrimination Laws, and it states, the Australian Human Rights Commission Act 1986 specifies discrimination on the basis of race, colour, sex, religion, political opinion, national extraction, social origin, age, medical record, criminal record, marital or relationship status, impairment, mental, intellectual, or psychiatric disability, physical disability, nationality, sexual orientation, and trade union activity. That's a lot to take in, and that's just one definition. Simplifying the approach. To make this easier to work with, we can group these attributes into 5 main categories. So, as opposed to the previous list, which was a little bit difficult to follow because it was just a list of items altogether, if we categorize them, it starts to make it a little bit easier to manage. So, 1, age, 2, race, 3, sex or gender, 4, disability, 5, activity/beliefs. Each of these contains several attributes. Detailing the attributes can help provide context and support our efforts to reduce bias. So in the article, there's a table, 3 by 5, and it lists each category with its attributes. And I'll just call that out really quickly. First category is age. So that's age, including age-specific characteristics, and that will vary depending on the nature of the work that you do. Race. So race, color, descent, nationality, origin. So that's ethnic origin or national origin or ethno-religious origin, immigrant status, and physical features. Sex and gender includes gender, sex, gender identity, intersex status, sexual activity, sexual orientation, marital or relationship status, parental status, pregnancy or potential pregnancy, breastfeeding or bottle feeding, family or carer responsibilities. Disability would include physical, intellectual, psychiatric, sensory, neurological, or learning disability. Then physical disfigurement, disorder, illness or disease that affects thought processes, perception of reality, emotions or judgment, or results in disturbed behavior. And then presence of organisms causing or capable of causing disease or illness. Activity and beliefs could include religious or political beliefs, religious political activity or affiliation, profession, trade, occupation, industrial or trade union activity. There are some additional considerations, so there are a few more to think about. These are less frequently observed, but they need to be considered. They could fit into one of the above categories, not very neatly, but you might be able to squeeze them in. And those are 3. So irrelevant medical records, irrelevant criminal records, and discrimination based on association with someone who has any of the above attributes. Putting it into practice. Consider whether and how each of the attributes might be influencing decisions. Some key questions to ask. Are we collecting data on any of these attributes? Could our systems be indirectly using these attributes? Are we using external data or models that use these attributes? Do our policies or procedures treat people differently based on these attributes? And finally, are our staff, including, importantly, data scientists, aware of these potential biases? We could go a bit deeper. So going a bit deeper, we may ask, I've got 5 questions again here. Are we inadvertently proxying protected attributes through seemingly neutral data? Are we prepared to explain our fairness approach to customers, regulators, or other stakeholders? Can we explain how our algorithmic systems work end to end? Do we regularly audit our systems? And then lastly, how quickly can we respond if we detect unfairness in our deployed systems? Regularly revisiting these questions helps ensure our systems remain fair and equitable as they evolve. There's a disclaimer in the article, and I leave that to you to read, but basically the information in this article, this episode, does not constitute legal advice and it may not be relevant to your circumstances. That's the end of the article. Thanks for listening.